October 14th, 1943, 10:32 hours. 24,000 feet above northern Germany. The sky is too clear. No clouds. No cover. Just a cold, endless blue that stretches in every direction, and the low, droning thunder of engines fighting thin air. Inside the B-17 flying fortress, the metal skin creaks under pressure. Frost clings at every surface. Oxygen masks hiss softly with each breath. Then, flak, black bursts rip open the sky ahead. Violent, sudden, close. The formation shudders as German anti-aircraft fire begins to walk toward them, measured, deliberate, deadly accurate. Each explosion is a calculated guess, a prediction of where the bombers will be in the next second. And they're getting closer. Inside the aircraft, Waist Gunner Staff Sergeant Maynard Snuffy Smith braces himself, gripping the .50 caliber machine gun. The vibration runs through his bones. He can feel the cold even through his gloves. His world is noise, wind, and the metallic taste of fear. Then the fighters come, dark shapes slicing upward to the flak bursts. Fast, aggressive, closing in from the sun. German interceptors. FW-190s and BF-109s. You don't hear them at first. You see them, tiny silhouettes that grow fast, and then the sky erupts. Tracer rounds streak past like glowing wires. The air fills with tearing metal, snapping cables, the violent staccato of machine guns. The B-17 formation holds tight, box formation designed for mutual defense. But it's not enough. Not today. A fighter flashes past the left wing, so close you can see the pilot's goggles. Gunfire rips across the fuselage. Another attack from below. Then above, the aircraft jolts. Hard. Something hits. A deafening crack tears through bomber, followed by a violent shudder that feels wrong. Not turbulence. Not flak. Worse. Inside the way section, Snuffy is thrown against the frame. His headset cuts to static. The aircraft lurches again, this time with a sickening, unnatural motion. The tail is gone. Not damaged. Gone. The rear section of the B-17 has been sheared clean off. For a split second, there's silence inside the chaos. Like the aircraft itself doesn't understand what just happened. Then the wind screams in. A hurricane-force blast tears through the open fuselage, ripping loose anything not bolted down. Debris, insulation, fragments of metal, all sucked violently into the void where the tail used to be. Men were there. A moment ago. Now nothing. The bomber begins to fall out of formation, spiraling slightly. Controls are sluggish. The structure groans under forces it was never meant to survive. At 24,000 feet, the air is already thin. Now it's chaos. Snuffy doesn't have time to think about the missing tail. He doesn't have time to process the loss, because the fighters are still coming. Another German aircraft lines up, this one straight behind what's left of the bomber. Easy target now. Crippled, bleeding altitude. Snuffy swings his gun into position. The wind is so violent it fights him for control. His oxygen mask is half loose. His goggles are fogging, then freezing. His fingers, numb, stiff, barely respond. But he fires. The .50 cal roars to life, a deep, pounding rhythm that cuts through everything. Tracers streak outward, arcing toward the incoming fighter. The German pilot hesitates. Just for a second. That's all it takes. The fighter veers off, breaking away under fire. Snuffy doesn't stop. He keeps firing into the empty sky, scanning for the next threat, bracing himself against the jagged, torn metal of the aircraft's broken body. Behind him, there is no behind him. Only sky. Only emptiness. The B-17 continues to descend, not in a controlled glide, but in a wounded, unstable fall. The pilot and co-pilot fight the controls, trying to keep what's left of the aircraft in the air. Hydraulics are failing. Control cables, some severed, some barely holding. Every second is a gamble. Inside the fuselage, smoke begins to creep in. At first, it's faint, then thicker. An electrical fire, somewhere in the midsection. Snuffy notices it between bursts of gunfire, gray tendrils curling upward, filling the already freezing compartment. The smell hits next. Acrid, burning insulation. Oil, the worst kind of fire, because at this altitude, there's no easy way to fight it, and no way to escape quickly. He looks around. The aircraft is barely holding together. The tail is gone. Fighters are circling back. The interior is filling with smoke. Any rational thought would say the same thing. Get out. Bail out. But Snuffy doesn't move toward the escape hatch. Instead, he reloads, hands shaking, fingers clumsy in the cold. He slams the ammunition belt into place, chambers the next round, and lifts the gun again. Another fighter is coming in, this one faster, more aggressive, closing in from the right. Snuffy leans into the wind, bracing his body against the frame of a dying aircraft, and opens fire again. The B-17 drops another few hundred feet. Smoke thickens. Flames flicker somewhere below. And still, he keeps shooting. Because if he stops, even for a second, they're all dead. The fighter breaks off again, unwilling to fly through the storm of .50 cal rounds. But more are coming. You can feel it. See it in the distance. Shapes regrouping, preparing for another pass. The bomber won't survive many more. Maybe not even one. Inside the aircraft, alarms are silent. But everything else is screaming. Metal, wind, fire, and a single gunner who refuses to stop fighting. Even as the sky itself seems to be tearing them apart. Even as the aircraft begins to slip further, faster, toward the earth below. And then, the fire spreads. Fast. Too fast. And suddenly, staying at the gun might be the least dangerous thing he's doing. The flames don't creep. They surge. Within seconds, the thin gray smoke turns black. Thick, choking, alive. It rolls through the fuselage like a living thing, swallowing the narrow walkway, curling around equipment, licking at ammunition belts and exposed wiring. At 23,000 feet, fire behaves differently, faster, hungrier, and inside what's left of the B-17, it's about to consume everything. Snuffy feels it before he fully sees it. The sudden wave of heat pushing back against the freezing wind tearing to the open tail. Two extremes colliding inside one broken aircraft. Ice and fire. His goggles fogged, then clear. The world snaps back into focus. Flames are climbing up from the radio compartment, right toward the oxygen tanks. You don't need training to understand what that means. If the fire reaches those tanks, there won't be anything left to hit the ground. A voice crackles through his headset, distorted, barely intelligible. Fire midsection. Somebody put it out. Maybe it's the pilot. Maybe the engineer. It doesn't matter. Because Snuffy is already moving. He leaves the gun. For the first time since the attack began, the .50 cal falls silent. And instantly, the silence feels wrong. Exposed. He grabs a fire extinguisher mounted along the fuselage wall. Yanks it free with numb hands that barely cooperate. The metal cylinder slips for a moment, nearly torn away by the violent airflow ripping through the aircraft. He catches it, barely, then pushes forward. Each step is a fight. The aircraft is no longer stable. It bucks and shudders unpredictably, dropping altitude in uneven lurches. The floor beneath his boots feels like it's tilting, twisting. Alive, he stumbles once, slams hard against the side of the fuselage. Pain shoots through his ribs, but there's no time to register it. The fire is growing. He can hear it now, a low, roaring sound beneath the chaos. Flames chewing through insulation, crawling along cables, feeding on anything they can reach. And the smoke. It's suffocating. Even through the oxygen mask, each breath feels thin, incomplete. His lungs burn as he pushes forward into thickening haze. You can almost feel it with him. The disorientation, the narrowing tunnel of vision, the way panic claws at the edges of thought. But he keeps moving, because stopping means thinking, and thinking means realizing just how bad this is. He reaches the source. The radio compartment is engulfed. Flames are licking up the walls, crawling across the ceiling, feeding on wiring and fabric. The heat is intense now. So sudden, so violent it feels unreal after the freezing cold of just seconds before. Snuffy doesn't hesitate. He pulls a pin, squeezes the handle. A burst of white chemical spray erupts from the extinguisher, cutting into the flames. For a moment, It works. The fire recoils, pushed back by the blast. But not enough. It surges again. Stronger. Hungry. The extinguisher sputters, then weakens. Running out. Come on, come on. He shakes it, forces out the last of the suppressant, sweeping it across the base of flames. The fire shrinks again, smaller this time, flickering, fighting to stay alive, just like them. And then it dies, not completely, not safely, but enough. The roaring fades to a crackle. Smoke still pours from the compartment, but the open flames have been beaten back, for now. Snuffy exhales, a sharp, ragged breath, but there's no relief, because as he turns, he sees it, the ammunition. Boxes of .50 cal rounds stacked along the fuselage, dangerously close to where the fire had been raging. Some are already scorched, heated, unstable. If they cook off, the inside of the aircraft will turn into a blender of shrapnel. He doesn't wait. One by one, he grabs the ammo boxes and heaves them toward the open gap where the tail used to be. Each box is heavy, awkward. His arms scream in protest, muscles burning from cold and strain. The wind tries to rip them from his grip before he can even throw them, but he forces each one out. Gone, gone, gone. The sky swallows him instantly. He doesn't stop until every last box near the fire is gone. Only then does he pause. Only then does he realize. He's dizzy. His vision blurs at the edges. The oxygen mask, it's loose again. Or worse, empty. At this altitude, without proper oxygen, consciousness slips away fast. Quietly, no warning. He fumbles with the mask, tries to secure it, but his fingers aren't working right. They feel distant, slow, like they don't belong to him anymore. Another voice crackles through the intercom, urgent this time. Bail out, bail out. The order echoes and confined. Smoke-filled space. This is it, the moment every crewman knows might come. The aircraft is crippled, the fire barely contained, oxygen failing, tail gone. No one would question it. No one would hesitate. You jump. You save yourself. Snuffy looks toward the escape hatch, just a few feet away. Freedom, or at least the chance. But then, a shadow flashes past the open fuselage. Another fighter. They're still here, still hunting. And the moment he leaves that gun, there's nothing to stop them from finishing the job. He looks back at the gun position, at the torn, open sky beyond it, at the empty space where the tail used to be, at the fight that isn't over yet. His breathing slows, just slightly, and instead of moving toward the hatch, he turns back, staggers, falls once hard onto the metal floor, then pulls himself up again, step by step, back toward the gun. The aircraft shudders violently as another near miss rocks the fuselage. Somewhere forward, something explodes, maybe another flak burst, maybe part of the aircraft itself giving way. It doesn't matter. Snuffy reaches the gun, grips it, and in that moment, half blind from smoke, oxygen starved, standing inside a burning, broken aircraft falling from the sky, he makes a decision that defies logic. He's not leaving, not yet, because as long as he's still breathing, he can still fight. And somewhere out there in the sky, the next attack is already coming. The aircraft is no longer flying. It's descending. October 14th, 1943, 10:41 hours. Somewhere over Germany, altitude bleeding away second by second. The B-17 is holding together by force of more than engineering. With the tail section gone, stability is a constant battle. The nose dips, then jerks upward. One wing feels heavier than the other. Control surfaces respond, but not always when they should. Inside the cockpit, the pilot wrestles the yoke like a man trying to tame something wild. Trim's gone, rudder barely responding. Hold her steady, just keep her steady. But steady is a luxury they don't have. Behind them, Snuffy braces at the waist gun position, his boots planted wide against the trembling floor. The wind howls through the open fuselage, louder now as their speed increases in the descent. The cold is fading, replaced by something else. Altitude loss, warmer air creeping in, a reminder they're getting closer to the ground. and closer to impact. He scans the sky. For a moment, nothing. No fighters, no tracers. Just the empty blue stretching out in every direction, as if the battle has simply paused. But war doesn't pause. It resets. And then, there, a glint of metal in the distance. Fast. Closing. Another fighter. This one doesn't hesitate. It dives straight in. Snuffy reacts instantly, swinging the .50 cal into position, leading the target, feeling the weight of the weapon pull against his already exhausted arms. He fires. The gun bucks violently, a steady hammering that reverberates through his entire body. Tracer rounds tear through the air toward the incoming aircraft. Closer, closer. The German pilot commits. Too close now to break off easily. For a split second, both men are locked into the same decision. And then, the fighter flinches. Just enough. Snuffy's rounds stitch across its path, forcing it to pull up hard, aborting the attack at the last possible moment. It flashes overhead, gone. But not destroyed, not finished. None of them are. The B-17 shudders again, this time from within. A loud metallic crack echoes through the fuselage. Something structural. Something important. Snuffy freezes for a fraction of a second, listening. Another crack. The aircraft is breaking apart, piece by piece, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Forward, the engineer shouts something, words lost in a roar, but the tone is clear, urgent, desperate. The intercom crackles again. Altitude 15,000. They've dropped nearly 10,000 feet in minutes. Too fast. Way too fast. At this rate, they'll hit the ground before they even have time to think about landing. Or bailing out. Snuffy glances toward the escape hatch again. It's closer now. Feels closer. The idea of jumping, of leaving this broken machine behind, pushes harder into his mind. At 15,000 feet, survival is possible. Not guaranteed, but possible. He can make it. Maybe. His hand tightens on the gun. Another tremor runs through the aircraft. Stronger this time. The floor beneath him vibrates violently, sending a sharp jolt up his legs. A panel tears loose and disappears into the sky. The B-17 is coming apart. And then, a new sound cuts through everything. Engines. Different. Not the steady drone of their own. Sharper. Faster. Behind them. Snuffy doesn't need to look. He knows. Another attack run. He swings the gun around again, slower this time. His arms are heavy now. Every movement feels delayed, like he's fighting through water, oxygen deprivation, fatigue, shock, all catching up at once. The fighter appears, closer than expected, already firing. Rounds tear past the open fuselage, snapping through what's left of the aircraft. One slams into frame inches from Snuffy's position, sending shards of metal spraying across his face and jacket. He flinches, but doesn't fall, doesn't stop. He fires back. The .50 cal roars again, but the rhythm is off now. Slower, less controlled. His grip isn't as firm. His aim not as steady. The fighter keeps coming. Closer, closer. For a moment, it feels like this is it. The end. No more breaking off. No hesitation. Just a straight, lethal pass. Snuffy leans into the gun, forcing his body to cooperate, forcing his eyes to focus through the blur. Come on. He adjusts just slightly, leads the target, and fires again. This time, the tracers connect. A brief flash on the fighter's wing. A flicker of smoke. Not catastrophic, but enough. The German pilot pulls away, hard, breaking off the attack at the last second. Gone again. Snuffy lowers the gun slightly. Just for a second, his vision tunnels. Darkness creeping in at the edges. The oxygen mask hangs loose again, barely supplying anything now. Each breath feels thinner than the last. He sways, catches himself against the gun mount. The world tilts. And then, he collapses. Hard. The metal floor rushes up to meet him, and everything goes quiet. Not silent, but distant, muted, as if the war itself is moving away from him. For a few seconds, maybe longer, there's nothing. No fire, no fighters, no falling, just darkness. Then, A voice. Faint. Get up. Another voice. Closer. Snuffy. Get up. His eyes snap open. The world slams back into place. Noise, motion, pain, all at once. The aircraft is still falling, still shaking, still alive. And so is he. Barely. He drags himself up, every muscle screaming in protest. His hands slip once, twice, before he finally grips the gun mount and pulls himself upright again. His head spins. But he's standing, still here, still in the fight. He looks out into the sky, searching, waiting, because deep down he knows this isn't over. Not yet. The ground is closer now, too close, and whatever happens next, it's going to happen fast. The ground is no longer an idea. It's a presence. October 14th, 1943, 10:48 hours. Altitude, dropping through 10,000 feet. Fields begin to take shape below, patchwork greens and browns cutting through the haze. Roads, tree lines, small clusters of buildings. Details that were invisible minutes ago now rush upward with terrifying clarity. The B-17 isn't gliding anymore. It's falling with intention. Inside the cockpit, the pilot fights for control, but there's less to work with now. Instruments flicker. Some are dead, others lie. The aircraft responds unevenly, sluggish 1 second, overcorrecting the next. Controls are going. She won't hold much longer. The co-pilot doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. They both know this aircraft isn't going to make it back. It might not even make it down intact. Behind them, Snuffy grips the gun mount, his knuckles white beneath torn gloves. His breathing is uneven. Ragged pulls through a mask that's barely functioning. Each inhale feels like trying to drink air through a straw. But he's conscious, still fighting, still here. Another voice cuts through the intercom. Clear this time. Firm. Prepare to bail out. The words land heavier than any flak burst. There's no confusion now. No hesitation in the tone. This is the order. The final one. Snuffy closes his eyes for just a second. You can almost feel it. The shift inside him. Not fear. Not exactly. Recognition. This is a moment every crew trains for, but hopes never comes. The moment where survival becomes individual. He looks again toward the escape hatch. Closer now. Only a few steps. The wind screams through it, pulling at anything loose, as if the sky itself is reaching in, waiting. Around him, movement. Crew members, what's left of them, begin to act. One struggles with his parachute harness, hands shaking. Another crawls forward, injured, dragging himself toward the nose section. Someone else is shouting, but the words are lost in the chaos. This is what the end looks like inside a bomber. Not heroic, not clean, just desperate motion and the sound of time running out. Snuffy pushes off the gun mount, staggers toward the hatch. Each step feels heavier than the last. His legs don't want to cooperate. His body is done, past done. But the instinct to survive is still there, still pushing him forward. He reaches the hatch. The open sky roars back at him, violent, endless, indifferent. At 10,000 feet, the air is thicker now, but the speed of the fall makes it feel like a storm. He grips the edge of the hatch, looks down. The ground rushes closer. Fast, too fast. If he jumps now, there's a chance. If he waits too long, there isn't. Simple as that. Behind him, a sound, faint, familiar. He turns his head slightly. The gun, still mounted, still loaded, still silent. And beyond it, the open sky where the fighters have been. Gone for now, but not gone for good. They could come back at any second. And if they do, there will be nothing left to stop them. No defense, no fire, nothing. Snuffy looks back at the hatch, then at the gun, then back at the hatch again. A choice, clear, immediate. Jump and maybe live. Stay and keep fighting in a battle that's already been lost. Another voice in the intercom, more urgent now. Go, go, go. A crewman disappears through the hatch. Gone in an instant, swallowed by sky. Another follows, then another. Each jump is a silent gamble. Each one a final decision. Snuffy tightens his grip on the hatch. His heart pounds, not fast, but heavy, slow, each beat deliberate, like it's counting something down. He could go. Right now. No one would blame him. No one would question it. He's done more than enough already. Fought longer than most would have. Survived things that should have killed him. This is his chance. His way out. But then, a flicker of movement in the distance. Far off. Small, but growing. Fighters. Again, they're coming back. And suddenly, the decision isn't abstract anymore. It's immediate, real. If he leaves now, the bomber becomes a falling target. Defenseless. Anyone still inside, anyone still trying to get out, will be exposed. Easy prey. Snuffy exhales. Slow. Controlled. And then he lets go of the hatch. Turns. And walks back. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just certain. Each step away from safety feels heavier than the last. But he doesn't stop. Doesn't hesitate. He reaches a gun again. Grips it. Lifts it into position. The aircraft shudders violently as another structural groan ripples through its frame. Something tears loose behind him. More of the fuselage giving way to stress and damage. Time is almost gone. The fighters are closer now. You can see them clearly. Lining up, preparing for the kill. Snuffy squares himself behind the gun, planting his feet against the shaking floor. The wind screams. The aircraft falls. And one man, exhausted, half-conscious, surrounded by fire and empty sky, chooses to stay in the fight. Even now, even here, even as everything around him says it's over, the fighters close in. And this time, they're not pulling away. They come in low. October 14th, 1943, 10:52 hours. Below 8,000 feet and dropping. The German fighters don't circle this time. They commit. Two of them dark. Fast silhouettes cutting to the thinning haze. Line up on the crippled B-17 like hunters finishing wounded prey. No hesitation. No probing runs. Just a direct, lethal approach. Inside the shattered bomber. There is no formation left to hide behind. No supporting fire. No second chances. Only one gun still answering the sky. Snuffy sees them. Feels them. Before the first round is even fired. The tension snaps tight across his chest like a wire about to break. He adjusts his stance. Small movement. But it costs him. His legs tremble under the strain. His grip tightens on the .50 cal. Fingers numb, barely responding. The fighters split. One high, one low. A classic pincer. They're not just attacking. They're finishing it. The lower fighter fires first. A stream of rounds tears upward into the exposed belly of the aircraft, ripping through what's left of the fuselage. Metal shreds. Panels tear loose. A burst of sparks erupts near the wing root. The B-17 jolts violently. Snuffy is thrown sideways, slams hard into mount. But he doesn't lose the gun, doesn't let go. He swings the barrel downward, tracking the low fighter as it climbs through its attack, and fires. The recoil punches through his arms, up into his shoulders. His vision blurs again, but he forces it back, forcing his eyes to stay open, to lock onto the target. Tracers streak downward. Closer, closer. The fighter pulls away. Too fast. But the high one is already diving. Snuffy jerks the gun upward, muscles screaming, reaction just a fraction too slow. The second fighter opens fire. Rounds slam into the forward section of the aircraft, tearing through metal and glass. The cockpit flashes with impact sparks. One engine sputters, then coughs black smoke into the slipstream. The B-17 lurches hard to the side. The world tilts. For a moment, it feels like they're going to roll, going to break apart completely. Snuffy fights the motion, bracing himself against a violent shift, dragging the gun into position as the diving fighter crosses his arc. Now, he fires. The burst is shorter this time, controlled, focused, and this time, it hits. You see it in the brief flicker along the fighter's fuselage, a flash, a line of impact stitching across its wing. The German pilot reacts instantly, pulling out of the dive, braking hard to the side. Smoke trails behind him. Not heavy, not fatal, but enough. Enough to force him out of the fight. One down, One left. The lower fighter comes back around. Faster now. Angrier. It doesn't fire immediately. It waits. Closing distance. Lining up carefully. Snuffy feels it. The shift in pace. The change in intent. This pilot isn't rushing. He's aiming. Finishing. The distance collapses. Too fast. Snuffy adjusts. His movement's slower now, delayed. His strength is fading. Every second is heavier than the last. The fighter fills his view. Close enough now to see details. Paint, markings, the dark blur of the pilot inside the canopy. The enemy is no longer abstract. It's a person, a decision, a trigger pull away. The fighter fires. Rounds slam toward him, tearing through the open fuselage, snapping past his position, one grazing the metal frame inches from his head. He doesn't flinch. He fires back. Everything he has left goes into that burst. Every ounce of strength, every fragment of focus. The .50 cal roars, not steady now, but desperate, relentless. The tracers meet the fighter head-on. For a split second, nothing. Then, a flash, a sharper one this time. The fighter jerks. Hard. Smoke pours from his engine. Thick, dark, undeniable. The pilot breaks off immediately, banking away in a steep, uncontrolled climb. Gone. This time, not coming back. The sky empties. Just like that. No more fighters. No more gunfire. Only the roar of wind and the violent rattle of an aircraft that should have fallen apart minutes ago. Snuffy lowers the gun. Slowly. His arms don't want to move anymore. They hang heavy at his sides. Barely responsive. He sways. Catches himself. But only just. The adrenaline is gone now. Burned out. Leaving behind something worse. Exhaustion. Pure. Absolute. His vision tunnels again, narrowing to a dim circle surrounded by black. He blinks. Once. Twice. Try and hold on to consciousness. Try and stay in the moment just a little longer. But his body is shutting down. Piece by piece. He takes a step. Misses. His knee buckles. And this time, he doesn't catch himself. He collapses again, hitting the cold metal floor hard. The gun clatters slightly as his grip finally loosens. The wind still screams. The aircraft still falls. But Snuffy doesn't move. Inside the cockpit, the pilot shouts something. Urgent panic now. Prepare for impact. Brace. Brace. They're too low. Too damaged. There's no controlled landing left in this aircraft. Only a crash. And in the waist section, lying motionless beside the gun he refused to abandon, Snuffy doesn't hear it. Doesn't see the ground rushing up to meet them. Doesn't feel the final seconds ticking away. Because after everything, the fire, the fighters, the fall, his body has finally taken what it couldn't take anymore. And gone still. But the ground is coming. Fast. And whatever happens next, no one on board is ready for it. The ground fills the world. October 14th, 1943. 10:55 hours. Just above the German countryside. There's no glide left. No recovery. The B-17 drops the last few hundred feet like a falling weight. Unstable, wounded, barely holding together. One engine is dead. Another coughs smoke. Control surfaces respond in broken, delayed motions that no longer matter. Inside the cockpit. Hold it, hold it. The pilot pulls against the yoke, fighting for any angle that might soften what's coming. Trees rush upward. A narrow clearing appears ahead, small, uneven, but it's all they have. Brace. Brace. The word cuts through everything. For the few still conscious inside the aircraft, instinct takes over. Hands grip whatever they can. Bodies curl inward. Heads drop. In the waist section, Snuffy doesn't move. He lies where he fell, half curled against a metal floor, oxygen mask hanging loose. One hand still resting near the gun mount. The wind that once tore through the fuselage now screams past him in a final, rising howl. Then, impact. The first contact is violent, but not the end. The aircraft slams into the ground tail first, or what's left of it, tearing into earth and debris. The fuselage snaps forward with brutal force, throwing everything inside toward the nose. Metal screams. Wings shear. One engine rips free on impact, cartwheeling across the field in a burst of flame. The B-17 doesn't stop. It skids, bounces, brakes. The landing gear collapses instantly. The belly grinds into ground, carving a jagged path through dirt and grass. The nose dips hard, almost flipping, but slams back down as the forward fuselage crumples under the force. Inside, it's chaos. Violent, disorienting, absolute. Loose equipment becomes shrapnel. Panels tear free. Anything not secured is hurled forward with bone-breaking force. And then, silence. Not complete, but sudden. The motion stops. The screaming metal fades. The world stills. Smoke rises from the wreckage in slow, curling plumes. Small fires flicker along the broken remains of the aircraft. Burning fuel. Smoldering insulation, fragments of what used to be a fortress in the sky. For a moment, nothing moves. No voices, no gunfire, no engines, just the quiet aftermath of something that should have killed everyone on board. Then, a sound, faint, a cough, from a forward section. A crewman stirs, disoriented, dazed, somehow alive. He pulls himself up, blinking through the haze, trying to understand how he's still breathing. Another groan, another movement. Survivors, against every expectation. They begin to move, slowly at first, then with growing urgency as reality settles in. Fire is still spreading in places. The wreck is unstable. Every second inside it is a risk. Get out, get out! One by one, they pull themselves free, climbing over twisted metal, dragging injured bodies, helping whoever they can reach. Then someone looks back, toward the waist section, toward where the worst of it had been, where the tail had been torn away, where the gun had kept firing long after it should have fallen silent. Snuffy. The name cuts through the smoke. No answer. A crewman stumbles toward the rear. Careful, cautious, stepping through debris and torn structure that barely holds together. Snuffy. Still nothing. He reaches the spot, sees him, lying on the floor, motionless. For a second, just a second, it looks final, too still, too quiet. He drops beside him, checks, hands searching for something, anything. A pulse. There, faint, but there. He's alive. He's alive. The words hit like a shockwave. Another man rushes over. Together, they lift him, carefully, urgently. His body is limp, unresponsive, but breathing. Barely. They drag him clear of the wreckage, pulling him into open air just as a small fire flares behind them, licking up the broken frame of the aircraft. They don't stop moving until they're a safe distance away. Only then do they lay him down. For the first time since the sky exploded around them, there is no immediate danger. No incoming fighters. No falling. Just the aftermath. Snuffy lies on his back, face pale beneath soot and frostbite, chest rising in shallow, uneven breaths. His hands, burned, cut raw, twitch slightly against the grass. Someone kneels beside him. Stay with us, you hear me? Stay with us. No response. But he's still here, still breathing, still alive, after everything. Minutes pass, or maybe seconds. Time doesn't feel right anymore. In the distance, faint voices, German, approaching. Soldiers drawn by the crash. The war isn't over. Not for them. Not yet. The surviving crew exchange glances, exhausted, stunned, but aware of what's coming next. Capture. Interrogation. A different kind of fight. But for now, they look at the man who stayed at the gun, who fought through fire, through oxygen starvation, through the destruction of the aircraft itself, and never stopped, even when he should have, even when he could have left. And the realization settles in, quiet but undeniable. They're alive because he didn't. The war doesn't end at the crash site. October 14th, 1943. Late morning. A field in northern Germany. Boots in the distance. Voices, sharp, controlled, closing in. The surviving crew hears them before they see them. German soldiers moving to the hedgerows. Rifles ready, drawn by the smoke and the wreckage carved into the earth. There's no fight left to give. Not here. Not now. Hands go up, slowly, reluctantly. Get
out of the plane! Hands high! Move now!
Minutes ago,
all right,
they
don't
were fighting
shoot.
for
We're
their
coming out.
lives in the sky. Now they're standing, some barely, on the ground, prisoners of war. The soldiers approach cautiously at first, weapons trained, eyes scanning the wreckage for threats that are no longer there. Then they see the aircraft. What's left of it? The missing tail, the torn fuselage, the path it carved into the earth. You can almost feel the hesitation, the moment where even the enemy understands something about what just happened. This wasn't supposed to land. This wasn't supposed to be survivable. One of the soldiers lowers his rifle slightly, staring at the shattered remains of the B-17. Another gestures, barking orders. The crew is separated, searched, disarmed. Routine, efficient, but not without glances, quick, unspoken looks at the wreckage, at the men who walked away from it, at the man lying in the grass. Snuffy, he hasn't regained consciousness. Not fully. His eyes flutter once, just briefly, reacting to movement around him, the unfamiliar voices, the shift in air and light. But he doesn't speak, doesn't move beyond that. Medics are called forward, German this time. War has its lines, but survival sometimes blurs them. They kneel beside him, examining quickly, efficiently. Burns, cuts, oxygen deprivation, shock, a body pushed far past its limits, and somehow still holding on. A stretcher is brought. Hands, enemy hands, lift him carefully, securing him in place. For a moment, everything slows. You can almost feel it. The strange, quiet respect that exists in war, not spoken, not acknowledged, but present. A recognition of something beyond sides. Because what he did up there, they understand it. Even from the other side of the guns. The crew watches as he's carried away. No words. None needed. They already know. Days pass. Then weeks. Then months. The war continues. Loud, relentless, indifferent at individual stories. But some stories refuse to disappear. Back in the United States, reports filter in. Debriefings. Testimonies. Fragments of what happened in the sky that day begin to form a complete picture. A bomber cut nearly in half at 24,000 feet. A fire that should have destroyed it. Fighters that should have finished it. And one man who refused to stop fighting. Staff Sergeant Maynard Snuffy Smith survives. Against odds that don't make sense on paper. Against conditions no training could prepare for. He survives. And when a full account is finally assembled, when every piece is laid out, every witness heard, there's no debate, no hesitation. What he did wasn't just survival. It wasn't just bravery. It was something more. On July 19, 1943, months before that flight over Germany, he enlisted to serve. But on a later day, after everything that happened in that broken aircraft falling from the sky, he becomes something else. He becomes a symbol. A reminder of what endurance looks like when everything is stripped away, of what it means to stay, when leaving is easier. Staff Sergeant Maynard Snuffy Smith is awarded the Medal of Honor, not for a single act, but for a chain of decisions moment after moment where he chose to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep others alive, even when his own survival was uncertain, even when everything around him was falling apart. And if you look back at that moment, at 24,000 feet, with the sky exploding around him, the tail of the aircraft gone, fire in the fuselage, oxygen fading, there's no grand speech, no dramatic realization, just a man at a gun, cold, exhausted, half-blind, who made a choice, again and again and again, until there was nothing left to give. And somehow, that was enough.